Good morning. Welcome to Hope Unitarian Church, where our mission is seeking hope, love, and justice together in community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, and whatever your life circumstance, you are welcome here. If you are new to Hope or still feeling new, or just need someone to talk to, I invite you to contact me at the church. Hope's contact information will appear on screen at the end of today's service. To all who are here this morning, welcome home.
We are here together in this holy moment, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place, and we're grateful for the winding road that brought us to this place.
The flaming chalice, symbol of our living faith, burns brightly. Let's say our unison words for chalice lighting. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. What happens now? Do we sulk in corners or work for justice? What happens next? Do we celebrate victory or work for unity? What happens later? Do we say all is well, or do we give up all hope? That depends on how you voted. That depends on how you love. Let's say our unison covenant together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please lift your voices in song to sing hymn number 1008. That's 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving heart, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share where the silence of sacred space and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. Then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Good morning. I'm Joan Bjornsgaard, and I have some announcements for this morning. The transition team and Reverend Greg will host a 2-session adult forum on Sunday, November 15th and 22nd to continue our work on looking inward in preparation for our new settled minister. We need everyone's input, so please try your hardest to attend. The Black Writers Group will meet on Zoom Tuesday, November 17th, and this group is open to all. Also, Reverend Greg will host a cocktail hour this Thursday at 4 o'clock. See the focus or the highlights for the Zoom address. Thank you.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Choose to Bless the World by Rebecca Parker. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. And of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these things can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, there is unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery. There is an embrace of kindness that accompanies all life, even yours. And while there is injustice or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. For those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith. The life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility, waiting. May we sit in silence and be one in spirit. Blessed be.
Today's reading is A House for Our Dreams by Dry J. Summers. We, all of us, build houses for our dreams. The masonry and lumber, glass and tiles, a solid form wherein we see our hopes, a shelter and protection for our growth. This house shall be a dwelling place for courage, integrity, for love, engendered, nourished by a family that speaks of we and means all humankind. These walls shall represent the privacy and dignity of individuals. The doors open, a welcome to all people, all ages and generations. The windows shall keep light of inquiry, illuminating from outside and within. May all words spoken here be born of love, and energy rekindle in the hearts of those who dreamed this house, who plied the tools and paid the price to actualize the dream. May dreaming never cease for those within who know the world to be a troubled place, but dare to struggle with imperfectness toward that brighter hope, that better day. Let memories add warmth, a heritage, a quilted patchwork stitched with history, of kindliness, of daring for the good, of funny moments, jokes, smiles, and tears. This is a precious place, as every home that shelters those who love and strive and share. Its blessing is in its lives that meet within, in living, learning, caring, sheltered here. Thank you.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me. And he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
Sometimes common sense speaks to me more than eruditeness. Catching the tail end of the news anchor's broadcast, I heard Shepard Smith conclude, "Democracy is a very fragile thing. You have to take care of democracy. As soon as you stop being responsible to it and allow it to turn into scare tactics, it's no longer democracy, is it? It's something else. It may be an inch away from totalitarianism." Like I said, not brilliant, simply true. Possibly prophetic. Certainly an admonition. Are we about to end what Sidney Mead once called the lively experiment? Even though a winner has emerged in last week's election, democracy still hangs in the balance. The thrust towards authoritarianism is still palpable. prior to last Saturday, I didn't believe our democracy would be saved by voting for one candidate over another. I still don't. Democracy, we've learned, is a gift many citizens no longer understand, let alone value. The United States, I believe, has a democracy crisis, one that won't be resolved January 20, 2021. To think otherwise necessitates putting one's head in the sand. Democracy is in decline either way. Its obituary is being written as we speak. How quickly it will be composed depends on you and me after the election, after the votes are counted, not on the candidate chosen. So let's take a look at democracy the day after. Like the journalist and clergyman Bill Moyers, I believe that democracy is practically divine, even with its deficiencies. Moyer explains, the revolutionary idea is that democracy isn't merely a means of government, it's a means of dignifying people so that they have a chance to become fully human. But then he laments, every day I find myself asking, why is America forsaking its own revolution? Moyers is not alone in decrying the demise of democracy. The American Political Science Association recently reported that, quote, increasing inequalities threaten the American ideal of equal citizenship and that progress towards real democracy may have been stalled and even reversed. We entered this post-election season still in a battle for hearts and minds, the hearts and minds of a free people, many of which have turned their backs on the democratic process. While listening to talk radio the other day, I heard a parent declare, I tell my children that democracy stops at the door in our home. It's a dictatorship once you are inside. As a parent, I have no problem with that. Then she surprised me by saying, I wish our president would run the country the way I run my home. Democracy is an idea whose time has come and gone. In this day and age, we need real leadership. That this was a local broadcast should surprise no one here this morning. With each passing day, the ownership of the media gets more concentrated, putting independent and free-thinking pundits on the periphery. We buy into the lie of fair and balanced. We confuse opinion with fact to the point that we don't know who to believe. Most newscasters are of little help. Isn't all news fake news anyway? Isn't truth only what I choose to believe? The powerful few determine the worldview of the passive masses. We do as we're told. We become what we embrace. The result, in-depth reporting on where Justin Bieber goes to church, and only a passing mention of Americans killed on foreign soil in senseless wars. The communications scholar Murray Edelman once wrote that, quote, opinions about public policy do not spring immaculately or automatically into people's minds. They are always placed there by the interpretations of those who can most consistently get their claims and cues publicized widely. If Edelman is correct, then press conferences and television cameras should be commonplace at houses of worship. Especially while we still have the freedom of the pulpit and the power of the pews to counter, with reason, the voices of deceit and deception. Now, this gets to the heart of Unitarian Universalism. I've said it before, we cannot wait for the next great progressive movement to do our dirty work, for we claim to be the progressive spiritual movement for our times. So we must take a good look at ourselves and then jump into this fray before the final bell tolls. The past 4-year period, in this time, in my 62 years as a citizen of these United States, this is the first time wherein I have been made to feel un-American by virtue of my use of Socratic questioning. When the right to question is denied or just even discouraged, then democracy as we know it is slowly sliding into its own grave. Perhaps we won't notice if it happens over time. But we are specifically called to defend democracy. Our Unitarian principles and purposes call us to affirm and promote, that is, promote the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. I don't see much room for interpretation here. When I am confronted with a conundrum, I always ask 3 questions. What do I know? What does it mean? And what will I do? Human nature often operates on autopilot. We consider what we know about the issue at hand, then we jump directly to solving the issue as what we will do. Yet you noticed the all-important question, what does it mean, holds the keys to what we will do or need to do. This is the difficult question because we must take time to ponder before fixing the problem. During seminary, I encountered an insightful commentator on public life, the 20th century theologian Reinhold Niebuhr. He says that a democracy is, quote, a proximate solution to insoluble problems. It is always messy, he says, and subject to corrupt manipulation, yet it still is the best civic project for the people. Likewise, the Venerable Plato defines democracy as, quote, a polis full of freedom and frank speech that can never resolve the perennial problems of corruption or creeping despotism. For Plato, only the rule of philosopher kings equipped with the knowledge of the good life could control the unruly passions and misguided hopes of ordinary people. We know that American democracy emerged as a republic, that is, a nation with representative government, rather than an Athenian-like direct democracy. Now, this is a tribute to the same elite fear of the passions and ignorance of the people. As James Madison wrote in the Federalist Papers, had every Athenian been a Socrates, every Athenian assembly would still have been a mob. For our founders, just as for Plato, too much Socratic questioning and too much power sharing leads to anarchy, instability, or perpetual rebellion. It is also why we endure an electoral college every 4 years in the United States. We, the voters, simply cannot be trusted. The ruling elite know what we need better than we do. That's why the future is in their hands and not ours. If that is what we know, then this is what it means. We are a democracy of rebels who nonetheless recreated in our own nation many of the oppressions we had rebelled against in the first place. Throughout our history, we have sometimes mirrored the oppressor's manner and imitated the oppressor's abuse. With eyes wide shut, we proclaim both our innocence and our eternal goodwill. The American experience in democracy, the lively experiment, is unique in human history, not because we are a chosen people to lead the world. It is unique not because we are always a force for good in the world. The way in which this experiment is exceptional is because of our refusal to acknowledge the deeply racist and imperialist roots of our democratic project. Some are in denial about the anti-democratic foundation upon which this country was founded. This has been a topic of recurring discussion in Hope's Black Writers book group, and you are welcome to join us anytime. It was the minister William Sloane Coffin who stated, "No nation, ours or any other, is well served by illusions of righteousness. All nations make decisions based on self-interest and then defend them in the name of morality." Today, perhaps more than at any other time in history, we are nurturing the enemies of democracy even as we strive to affirm and promote the democratic process, the calling on Unitarian Universalists in particular. Democracy has at least 3 killers on the loose. The first killer is escapism. Liberals who seek to live under the maple leaf rather than the stars and stripes are indicative of the nihilism that has enwrapped our nation. Then there is the desire to numb the pain of place with an extended vacation. Becoming an expat has its appeal. But it is more than just a matter of geography. Some of us soothe the sores of life at home with the balm of alcohol and prescription and recreational drugs. Others rely on food to curb their insatiable appetites for peace of mind. Of course, we must ask, what about the children? Through social media and the current political climate, our kids are learning that democracy no longer matters. Some of this training takes place at home. Meanwhile, many congregations strive for entertainment, not worship. When we confuse the temporal and the permanent in life, our list of priorities is challenged. This holds true equally for institutions like the local church. It has been fascinating for me to watch which priorities have risen to the top of congregational life during the pandemic. It has been revealing to see how Hope has responded to the global crisis. But this is fodder for another sermon, so stay tuned. Suffice to say, we really find out who we are and what matters most to us during perilous times. Do not be deceived. Diversions replace direct action when church members decide they can no longer make a difference. Then democracy tumbles. The way home for escape artists is found in the prophetic voices of nearly all religions. These are the voices that challenge us to be self-critical rather than self-indulgent, and Socratic rather than hedonistic. The truly prophetic obliterates our blindness to suffering, our own and others, and exposes the means of evasion and escape we devise in order to hide and conceal our injustices. We need prophecy to embolden the courage to change our lives and our circumstances, to change Hope Church for the better, and to embody hope in a very broken world. Says Maya Angelou, it may be necessary to encounter defeat so that we can know who the hell we are. The second killer of democracy is elitism. True democracy has always been a work in progress, a tugging and pulling of wills between the ruling elite and the ordinary people. Americans have lived through times when an imbalance in this fragile question has resulted in an abuse of power and a decline in democracy. I believe we are living in such an era now. The mostly unquestioned elitism of both political parties is a significant threat to the quality of democratic life as we know it. It affirms and promotes an unequal distribution of wealth and fans the flames of class and race hatred. It defines so narrowly success, and only in ways that serve empire and never the least of these. The glamorization of materialism and the subjugation of the generous spirit only widens the gap between citizens. We begin to ask, who is my neighbor? A question for which there may no longer be an answer. Do not be deceived. Voting itself will cease when common people decide it is fruitless to question those in authority. Then democracy withers. The way home from elitism is found in the community building of nearly all religions. Spiritual communities challenge us to forsake the rugged individualism for a more delicate but deliberate communalism. A primary mission of almost all religions is to level the playing field between the haves and the have-nots. We are lovers of mercy, not passive pretenders. This is especially true among Unitarian Universalists, who are often accused of confusing social justice with worshiping God. To which I respond, yes, that's it exactly. Besides, we know who is confused. The church must always model an anti-elite stance in words and deeds. The virtual doors of the church are open this morning because you matter, and we're committed to radical hospitality and extravagant welcome. Simply put, we need less judgment and more curiosity in human relations. It's our calling. The third killer of democracy is extremism. Liberals who confuse tolerance with acceptance are indicative of the widespread desire for light religion over right religion. It substitutes form for substance and is easily satisfied by knowing about religion rather than by being religious. Democracy is damaged immeasurably by bad religion. Liberals who demand that we just love everybody and who admonish us to speak deferentially about those who believe differently will subvert our distinctiveness. It will take more than love and playing nice to stop the crawl of creeping fascism. Liberals who think they can believe anything they want and then behave any way they want will pollute the integrity of compassionate communities and dilute the strength of progressive movements. And folks who act and believe like this in church will certainly do the same in the public arena. So please do not tell me that the diversity of our own beliefs precludes us from critically thinking about the beliefs of others. All belief is subject to Socratic questioning. If you are not disaffected and willing to speak up out on the unholy alliance of church and state, then you are of little good to either. Do not be deceived. Extremism replaces democracy's delicate balance when there is no longer anything substantive to believe in. The democracy gasps its last breath. The way home from extremism is found in the mysticism of nearly all religions. Mysticism draws us back from the edges of faith and into the center of being itself. There we find a comforting sense of wonder that beckons us to be one with the web of life. The pull is only invitational, never coercive. It is an invitation to love and to be loved. Mysticism provides us with the power to see things differently and the inspiration to make things better, even when it seems to be a losing battle. Its contemplative stance brings peace in the midst of any storm. In the end, it's love that matters. Only love. In the arms of love, we have come full circle. With democracy, we have considered what we know and what it means. Now, what do we do? The answer is surprisingly succinct, and it comes from the mouth of Mamie Till Mobley, the mother of Emmett Till, after his murder by American terrorists. As she rose to the lectern at Pilgrim Baptist Church in Chicago in 1955 at the funeral of her 14-year-old son, she seemed determined to nurture no longer the killers of democracy. "I don't have a minute to hate," she cried. "I'll pursue justice for the rest of my life." May we go and do likewise, to the glory of life. Our generosity recipient for November is Restore Hope, a Tulsa organization dedicated to restore families in financial crisis to economic and spiritual vitality. The three principal ways in which they live out this mission are hunger reduction, homeless prevention, and emotional and spiritual nurture. The programs are designed to achieve a dual purpose of equipping families to help themselves restore their economic and spiritual vitality, and to mobilize congregations to serve families in economic crisis. Today's offering, in its entirety, supports Restore Hope. If you are visiting with us for the very first time, you need only pass the virtual plate. You are our guests, and we're glad you're here. May today's offering reflect our highest aspirations for the work of this church in the world. Let's read our offertory response together. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. Let's sing our closing hymn, number 1007 in the Teal hymnal, There's a River Flowin' in My Soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Our chalice is extinguished. Please say these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we will carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now may the love that casts out fear and the truth that sets us free lead us forward together till the dayspring breaks and the shadows flee away. Amen.
We have spent time together